Good evening, East Alabama. Welcome into the locker room on this Wednesday afternoon. My name's Namath Pitts. I am pleased to be joined in studio today by a good friend of mine, a legend, Coach Michael Shortt, who is going to be talking high school football with us today as I myself, Namath Pitts, release my East Alabama Now top 10 preseason rankings for every classification in the state of Alabama. And I'm even going to, Coach, go as far as Pitts Pick'ems on high school football Alabama. We're taking it to East Alabama Now today. I'm going to make my Super 7 predictions for each classification. Coach isn't going to make predictions with us today. He's more so just going to kind of analyze mine, maybe mention some teams that you feel like I left out, Coach, or maybe you agree, disagree here. So Coach is here more really to just kind of help with breaking things down for us. So, Coach, we're going to start this first segment. We're going to talk Class 1A, Class 2A. Our next segment will be 3A, 4A, and then we'll finish the show today with 5A, 6A, and 7A. Okay. So, Coach, I'm going to show you my top 10 rankings. Now, guys, these are not based on how last season ended. This is based on what I think will be the top 10 when the season is said and done. So, Coach, these are my top 10 on how I feel like this season is going to go. It's not based on coming into the season because, you know, obviously a team like Booker T. Washington, who, spoiler alert, I don't even have them in my rankings, Coach. And they made it, how deep did they make it last year?
Third round.
Third round. No, they made it even deeper than that. They made it to the semifinals.
Semifinals.
So, and then obviously they ended up defeating Jackson and everything. And so Booker T, though, Coach is gone. So they're not even in my rankings because I don't think this year they're going to break the top 10, but we'll talk more about them later. All right, let's start in Class 1A. Let's take a look at where things stand in 1A. Obviously, Leroy is back in Class 1A. They stay in Class 1A. Coosa Christian, though, the state runner-up in Class 1A. Coach, they're gone to 2A. All right, first surprise of the day, Wadley. I got Wadley, man. I'm looking at Coach Motley's team right here. Coach Motley entering his 6th year with Wadley. They bring back Jaquez Wilkes. By the way, I don't know if y'all know, but Wadley had another Wilkes coach back in the day that was pretty dang good. Well, this Wilkes is too. They obviously returned Jaquez Wilkes and Cortavian Lynch. Those are the two guys. They lost to Pickens County by 4 points last year in the state quarterfinals. I like Leroy, Coach, returning right here. By the way, Leroy, Chandlo was the interim last year because Coach Jason Massey answered the call to defend our country. And they're now removing that interim tag, and Chandlo is taking over his first season as the full-time head coach. They won Class 1A last year. They return a couple all-state players, Jason Burge, Sawyer Sullivan, Tim Parnell. I got Leroy at 1, Wadley at 2. Coach, I'm going with Michael Williams and Pickens County at 3. They obviously lost in the state semifinals against Coosa Christian. That was an incredible game. They return all-state player Nate Finch. I got Elba at 4. Obviously, everybody knows about Alvin Henderson, right? Alvin Henderson headed to play at the University of Auburn, all-state running back. Caden Atkins, though, is another really good player for Elba. They have a really good team coming back. Lost last year to Leroy in the state semifinals. Coach, right here, number 5. They lost to Coosa Christian in the first round last year. They only lost one player, and that was Chapel Pope. But I look at what Barrett Ragsdale has for Spring Garden this year. Obviously, the Welch brothers are big-time players. Obviously, Pope was the quarterback, was the main man. They do have to replace kind of the centerpiece of that offense. But I like Spring Garden right here at 5, obviously playing out of Region 8. And then going to our 6 through 10, Maplesville at 6. I got Coach Abbott, his son, is an all-state player returning for him. Brantley at number 7. Roland Jones Jr. is in his 7th year. They lost to Leroy last year in the quarterfinals. Cooper Layton's an all-state player. Coach, here's another one for me, Winneborough. I love what Coach Skylar Mansfield has this season. I saw them in 7-on-7 action at the FCA 7-on-7, and they were, in my opinion, the best team I saw there that day. Childersburg ended up winning the small division, but I was really impressed with what I saw from Winneborough. Their quarterback's really good. TCC closed down. That's going to add some depth for Winneborough. I made a mistake I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where I said they didn't make the playoffs last year. Well, that was 2 years ago. They actually made the second round last year and lost to Pickens County. But I think this year their quarterback and depth is going to be big for them. And then at number 9 is Pat Thompson in Sweetwater. Pat Thompson, by the way, longest tenured coach out of all 10 of these teams. Coach Pat Thompson's entering his 11th season. They lost to Maplesville last year playing Region 1. And to close out my top 10, I got Milry. Obviously, they got to coach a lot of all-state players coming back. Dalen Edmonds, Holt Henry, Wesley McElwain, Landon Doggett. Now, of course, all these return all-state players are dependent on whether or not they transferred in the offseason. Because, to be honest with you, Coach, I don't know if a guy from Milry or Sweetwater transferred, being up here more in the north-central Alabama area. But that's where my top 10's at right now, Coach. kind of digest what you see, maybe some changes you would make, or you're saying, hey, I kind of like what you did there. I think they're going to be a team that could surprise people as well.
I like what you have going there. You have a lot of blue bloods on there. I mean, how many years is Leroy, Wadley, Pickens County, the Elba, Maplesville, Brantley, Sweetwater, those schools? Your new ones, in theory, in preseason top tens, and that's what it is. It's a preseason guess, I guess, for us. What it is your local teams as in Spring Garden in Winterboro. I also saw Winterboro in the spring game versus Talladega and looked very talented, and that was without the kids from TC. They've added some linemen from TC. So that's, I think Winterboro is just waiting there to be a surprise because, they went on the road last year to Pickens County and got beat by 4. It had the ball late in the game and was a chance to win. So you never know about that. Spring Garden, same way. Spring Garden, now that they've changed their offense, and they've gone more to a spread attack with those type of kids that can, and they've had a year to digest what they did last year and to get better and better at what they're doing. I've seen them in 2 7-on-7s already and very, very impressed with what they're doing in the passing game. And,
Coach, there may be a team that you don't see on these rankings necessarily. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying they're not going to have a good season or that they can't be a team. Like, when we get to Class 3A, Coach, I mean, I don't know how you can fit, you know what I'm saying? There's probably 5 or 6 teams.
You need a top 20.
In our local 3A region that could clearly make the playoffs and clearly make a run. One thing that I thought was interesting, can we put those rankings up just real quick? I want to show you one more thing. If you look at Class 1A and you look at 1 through 6, Coach, look at this. Leroy, 1A Region 1. Wadley, 1A Region 6. Pickens County, 1A Region 5. Elba, 1A Region 2. Spring Garden, 1A Region 8, and Maplesville, 1A Region 4. All 6 of those teams, Coach, different regions. Typically you can get some regions where to stack up on each other, like 3 or 4 teams in one region. All 6 of those are in different regions. You go to Brantley at 7, they play in the same region as Elba. Winterboro plays in the same region as Wadley. And then, of course, Sweetwater's in the same region as Leroy. And then Millery also in Region 1. So I do have 3 teams out of 1A Region 1, which seems to be the strongest region in my opinion.
It should be. And when you get years like this where they're spread out as much as they are, then that makes for a great season for us to be able to watch it because we just got so many regions and you usually can dial it in to 1 or 2 teams that you think may be there in the end. It's going to be harder to do that this year.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Namath's Super 7 prediction for Class 1A, Coach. Leroy Bears versus Wadley. I'm going Leroy to go back to the Super 7 again, but I've got them playing not Pickens County, who most people would probably be the early pick right here. I'm going Wadley. I think Wadley with Jaquez Wilkes, if he stays healthy, I think outside of Alvin Henderson, he's probably the best running back in Class 1A. I'd love to see Alvin Henderson and Elba versus Jaquez Wilkes and Wadley. But I think Leroy, again, every single year, they seem to get it done.
Yeah, and Henderson, if he's in the backfield, and Wilkes as a linebacker on defense. That would be a very a fun show to watch right there. That would be a great one. Those are 2 great picks. They are. But I think that Wadley will have a harder time getting there than Leroy will.
All right. So Coach says that he kind of likes it, but he could see Wadley being a different team. Could see a different team outside of Wadley.
Maybe deeper to get there. May have to go through more people.
All right, let's go ahead and shift to Class 2A, Coach, and take a look at my top 10 for Class 2A.
Where's 5?
Where's 5? 5 is in Class 3A now. All right, let's start. Number 1, Coach, Reeltown, defending state runner-up right there. They are talented. They've got, Coach, 4 all-state players coming back. Bowman Brumbelow, Tay Martin, Demetrius Brown, and Finn Henderson. Obviously, Coach Mark O'Brien, the Coosa Christian Conquerors go up from 1A to 2A. Coach, they've got 5 all-state players returning in Cade Mickler on the defensive line, Cleet O'Brien at linebacker, Grayson Malone, DB, wide receiver Eli Motes. But I don't know how John David Justice didn't make All-State last year. I noticed that today. That is surprising to me. I feel like arguably he's one of the better quarterbacks in Class 2A. Looking at Pisgah, Coach, they have 0 All-State players returning from a year ago. The players that did make All-State were seniors, but let me tell you, Luke Pruitt in his 7th season, Pisgah says, we're going to make the state championship this year. They lost to Fife last year. That was the only 2 losses. Coach, those are 2 pretty good losses. Highland Home, obviously you look at, J.J. Falk, that's the first person that comes to mind. C.J. May, Tyler Chaney. Tuscaloosa Academy. This is a team that came from the AISA a couple years ago. They've been solid. I think they take a little bit of a step up this year. They're at number 5. They got quarterback Preston Lancaster coming back. He's going to be a big player for them. Clark County at 6. Ethan Henson and Hayden Dotson are 2 defensive linemen. They're all-state players. Cottonwood's got an offensive lineman in Kane Campbell, who's an all-state player. Decatur Heritage, moving up from 1A to 2A, Coach. A lot of times, some teams don't miss a beat. Sometimes they struggle.
Yes.
I don't think Coosa Christian or Decatur Heritage is going to miss a beat personally. They got one of the better running backs, too. Let's talk about Severius Evans, who coach is only, I believe, going to be a sophomore this year. So he was a freshman all-state player a year ago in Class 1A. And then look at Isabella, Caden Tuttle, and Noah McMahon. And then Pleasant Valley. Coach, I did it. I put Jonathan Nix and the Pleasant Valley Raiders in my top 10. Because I'm telling you right now, Coach, they got in the playoffs last year. Injuries kind of, I think, hurt them a little bit from getting the opportunity to host. I think Pisgah wins the region. But I've said before, I think Pleasant Valley is the 2 out of this region. Coach, I think they host a home playoff game. Do you know the last time Pleasant Valley hosted a home playoff game?
Been a long time.
Before Namath was born. No, I don't know that it was that long, but it's been a long time.
Been a long time.
That was, I think, 2000. 8
or 9?
I have to do the research, but it's been at least it was well over 10 years.
It's been a while, but if anybody can get them there, Coach Nix can get him there. He does an excellent job at Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, and
no doubt.
Again, I think Braxton Salster is going to be a really, really key player for them this year. And they got other guys outside of him too. I've seen them in some 7-on-7 action this year. They've got some athleticism, and that's something that Pleasant Valley hasn't always had. So
1 or 2, but they got more of them this time.
Yeah,
they got some depth.
And I think I got them at 10. I'm putting them in there. I'm high on them. The question for Pleasant Valley, Coach, is this, and it seems like a weird question. But how do you adjust to the expectation of we're supposed to win football games? You know, nobody's ever expected Pleasant Valley to win football games. Now that you've made the playoffs, you had all these young players last year. They're coming back. They're expected to make the playoffs again, especially in Class 2A. How do the players handle that? Not so-called pressure, but expectation of, hey, we're supposed to make the playoffs now.
Well, the first thing he's going to have to do is get rid of the rat poison that you just gave him by putting him at 10. He's got to be able to take care of that. And that's one thing they've had a little success, but they haven't won a region title. So that's very easy for him to put that on a plate, put that on a video and say, we have not won a region title. And that's what they're going to have to go for. Well, by getting an opportunity to play for a region title, it at least puts them in a chance to be second. And hosting that first-round playoff game, you can only imagine what that part of the county would be like that night. They got some great nachos that they have out there.
Coach,
they would even be more. Those nachos would be great when we get out there. We were thinking, great minds think alike.
Coach, I was about to say, another reason I put them at number 10s, I'm hoping if I come back in town later this fall, they'll give me some free barbecue nachos, man.
Well, we were out there last year together when we eat those.
I had 2 baskets, by the way.
The question is going to be, is where Coosa Christian has got, even though they're moving up, a lot of times teams that move up struggle that first year. I don't think Coosa Christian or Decatur Heritage, either one is in that position because they have too many players that are great players. And the thing that will impress you about Coosa Christian is the schedule they're going to play. And the people that they play, even on 7-on-7, they're playing 5A and 6A schools, and we're not talking about Mickey Mouse 5A and 6A schools. They're playing good 5A and 6A schools in their competition in the summer. It's going to only make them better. So yeah, they're a very serious threat right there to get back. And Decatur Heritage, I watched just this morning of some workouts they were doing this summer, and they're running up a hill that's almost 90 degrees straight up, and they're running up backwards, forward, sideways, and there's some athletes on that field too.
And Coach, speaking of Coosa Christian, they hosted 7-on-7 earlier this summer that Mortimer Jordan was at, and we're talking, Class 5A, 6A team who's coached by Coach Lauderdale, by the way, who was an assistant, longtime Mortimer Jordan coach, retired, had great success. Lauderdale stepping in. He was at Susan Moore back when they went undefeated and lost to Welborn in the playoffs the year Welborn made the semifinals. So they've got an experienced coach he's coaching the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. And so, again, you have a team like Mortimer Jordan come in on a 7-on-7. That's no slouch of an opponent. And in the regular season, Coach, they're playing Fife. They're playing Tuscaloosa Academy, who had number 5, and they're playing Pell City. So, they are playing competition. And I believe they're going to Georgia to play a team in Georgia who, only won, 2 state championships now under Coach Harry?
That's right.
So
the biggest thing will be for Coosa Christian to make sure that you don't bite off more than you can chew. And I'm not talking about you mentally. Will you still have the bodies left? Because you're playing some teams that's got a lot more
Pisgah's going to have
people.
more depth.
And that's going to be the question, is that you can stay healthy enough at the end of the season to be able to go through a 5-game gauntlet, because 15 games is a long time. That's a long season, not counting that you've got 4 weeks before that. So you're talking about almost 3.5 months that you're talking about playing great teams week after week after week.
And I will say, I will not be surprised if Pisgah is the team that comes out of the North. I think Pisgah under Coach Pruitt is going to be really good. They're going to have the depth. And I think Pisgah's probably sitting there going, all we need to do is get Fife out the way.
I don't know what the bracket, because I haven't seen a bracket yet. And I don't know when they may play each other. But when Coosa and Pisgah play each other, that will be a ball game that everyone needs to be at, because I think that Pisgah, after talking to Coach Pruitt last week, he's very high on his athletes, matching anybody in 2A's athletes, and he's very high on his offensive and defensive line being able to make a difference.
I'm glad you said that. So, Coach, did I put Pisgah in the Super 7 or did I put Coosa Christian in the Super 7? It's clear who I think is coming out of the South because they were number 1. But who are they going to play in the Super 7 game in Class 2A? Coach, I'm going Coosa Christian. I'm going with the private school. I just think there's a chip on John David Justice's shoulder this year. I think nobody's talking about him, and I don't understand why. And I like Coach O'Brien a lot. I love Teddy Whitmire. I love what Teddy Whitmire is about. And he's probably, I think, arguably one of the best defensive coordinators any classification. I really believe that. Does
a great job. You can tell that he's come from a great program that he played in and he was a part of, because defense matters.
Yep.
And Coach O'Brien's that way too. Defense matters to him too. Even though he loves his offense and doing all the innovative things, they still understand that there's 2 things that have to go along with offense. And I think some people underestimate Coosa when it comes to their kicking game. Kicking game still matters, guys, even on the 1A, 2A level, and a lot of times it even makes a bigger impact on the 1A, 2A level than it does at the 5 and 6A level. And I witnessed that last year in the semifinals. A lot of Coosa Christian's kicking game last year kept Pickens County backed up. And that's just a testament to their coaching staff and to their players. So, again, if Pisgah and Coosa Christian get to play, after the game's going to be there.
And again, Reeltown and Highland Home seems like those are going to be the 2 in the South. Reeltown's got 4 All-State players. All right, Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Class 3A and 4A. We really need a top 20 for Class 3A. We only got 10, and I know a lot of people are not going to like it. So we'll be right back with more on that. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the Locker Room.
For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today.
We continue on the Locker Room on this Wednesday afternoon. My name's Namath Pitts. I'm joined in the studio today by Coach Michael Shortt. We are breaking down my top 10 preseason rankings and also my Super 7 predictions. So we did Class 1A and Class 2A. Coach, we need a top 20 for Class 3A, but the reality is I'm about to make some people mad, but name us top 10 for Class 3A. Let's take a look at it. All right, Coach, Fife. They got Logan Anderson, who is going to play D1 football. He's probably going to play SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. Needless to say, Logan Anderson is a big-time player. But I don't think enough people talk about Tucker Wilkes on the offensive line and Simon Hicks at linebacker, 2 great all-state players for Fife. Mars Hill Bible, last year they got beaten round 2 by Madison Academy, but Daryl Higgins is now entering his 9th season. I think this year they take a step up finally in 3A. Number 3, this is a surprise to most people. I got Clint Anderson in Thomasville. He's entering year number 3. He lost last year in the quarterfinals to St. James, but year 3 coaches, typically when coaches, they finally hit that breakthrough point. Also, speaking of entering year number 3, Gus Smith's entering year number 3 at Gordo. He lost to Geraldine last year in round 2. I'd say that was an upset according to most people. They bring back Cam Lark and Logan Ellis, 2 big-time players. 5's T.R. Miller dropping from 4A to 3A. About offensive lineman J.R. Jernigan, who's an all-state player. But, Coach, their quarterback might have the coolest name. You told me that actually right before we came into this segment, so I'm not going to take credit for that. But their quarterback's last name is Commander. And, Coach, what did you say about quarterback? You wanted to be the what?
He needs to be the commander of the offense.
Commander of the offense. All right, number 6 is Montgomery Academy. They're dropping from 4A back 3A. Coach, last time they were in 3A, they almost won a state championship, but Piedmont had that big comeback. But Montgomery Academy does come back, by the way. They got wide receiver Derek Vincent, all-state player. Coach, here it is. 4 teams from the same region. You could throw Welborn in here. I think you can make an argument that Weaver might break through. They could be at number 10. But this is – now, I'm not saying Ohatchee's going to win the region, even though I said this was the order in which I was going to put them. But here's my reasoning behind Ohatchee 7, Piedmont 8, Westbrook Christian 9, Locust Fork 10. Based on last year, Coach, Locust Fork should be 7 because they had 1 loss to 5, who everybody ran into. They bring back all-state quarterback Dylan Embry, who is really good. So you could argue that Locust Fork should be 7. You could argue Piedmont ended up falling right in the playoffs, should have made the quarterfinals, was just super close. They got Raleigh Pinto healthy this year. There was all these rumors in the offseason about Raleigh Pinto is going to go to, I think there was like 6 schools at one point. But ultimately, Coach, from what I've heard, he has not missed a summer workout for Piedmont yet. And also Ishmael Bethel. All these different rumors about Ishmael Bethel. I think I heard 3 schools with him. But as of right now, Coach, key word, as of right now, I think we can, being in mid-July, I'm pretty sure those 2 guys are going to play for Piedmont this season. Jonathan Miller's got 2 of the best players in any classification in Ishmael Bethel and Raleigh Pinto. And this is year number 2 for Jonathan Miller. It's like Kalen DeBoer coming in behind Nick Saban. You're coming in behind Steve Smith. That's tough to do. I've even probably been a little critical sometimes of just that kind of Jonathan Miller Piedmont. It just seemed weird. But ultimately, it's Jonathan Miller, and he is a winning coach, and his success speaks for itself. I do think when it's said and done, he'll be in, obviously, the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Jonathan Miller is a great coach. So he's going to have 2 of the most talented players at Piedmont this year. Coach Finley at Ohatchee. You know, you look at the past 2 years, 5-5, and was it 3-7 or whatever, 3-8, and you go, Namath, what are you doing? Coach, he's got 21 seniors. He's got at least 5 transfers this offseason between Raglan and Anniston, and Jake Robertson's at quarterback, and they're not running the Ugly Eagle this year. They're going to spin the ball, and they got some guys that can catch the ball. I think they're the team to keep an eye on. And, Coach, Westbrook Christian, they didn't make the playoffs last year. Yeah, but Steve Smith is year number 2. I'm expecting a jump. They just made the state baseball championship game. He's got some baseball players that are going to play football, and there's some athletes. I can tell you from being up close. Coach, what do you think? I think personally, here's what I personally think. I think Ohatchee, Piedmont, or Westbrook, I think any of those 3 could win the region. If I had to pick right now, I'm actually leaning 8 or 9. I would say Piedmont or Westbrook. I would throw Ohatchee in at 3, but I'm throwing them at 7 right now. Number 10, I'll be honest with you, I got Locust Fork at number 10, Coach, because Dylan Embry's back and because they made that run last year, but I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I think it's going to be Welborn or Weaver at 10. You can go ahead and assess this however you want.
Well, that's a good 10. So can we do, like, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can we have 1A, 2B, 3? You know, there's another 10 that can go just right there with them.
I would probably throw Welborn right at 11.
Welborn needs to be in there with them, with some great players themselves. They're really quietly sitting back where they want to be, no rat poison or nothing, and they've got an opportunity. But one little tidbit to throw out there for Locust Fork. They've got a wide receiver that's come out. You know, they lost an all-state wide receiver last year, but they got a kid that's only played football for his first year this year coming out. He made some catches up on Sand Mountain the other day that were unbelievable. So watch out for them too. That whole region, my goodness gracious.
I hear you, Coach, but Scott Peavy told me at a 7-on-7 the other day he could have caught a ball across the middle. It's 7-on-7. So,
yeah,
you know,
that's
you got offensive linemen and pads, and So, you know.
There's a lot of people like that.
You should have heard that Coach Peavy the other day. They had 3 guys in the middle, and a guy caught the ball in between 3 defenders. He said, I'm 50 years old. I could have caught that pass.
And his son's standing right beside him. And I was at some of those camps.
But anyway, I love Coach Peavy.
The group that you have there, there's some good ones. And I know really deep down inside why he put O'Hatch at 7. Because of his wife Butterfinger cake.
No, that was not why.
That's probably why he put her there, because of that Butterfinger cake.
But honestly, I just love Coach Feely, man. I love what he's about. 21 seniors.
Here's why I'm so impressed with him is because he has been doing what it takes for them to win where they were at and what they had. And now he's saying that we've got some receivers, we've got some skill players, we've got a quarterback that can spin it. Why not get out here and make some subtle changes? Because you're not going to completely see them not run the football. Mm-hmm. They're going to run the football in order to set up them being able to throw it. It's just that when they now can throw it when they want to, not when they have to. So I think you're top 10 in that group right there. You need to look at them and watch them. And at the end of the year, come back and see how many of them are left in the top 10, because there's some schools right there.
Luckily, I'll be living in Connecticut, so I won't have to face any of them face to face.
Nobody can holler at you. Nobody can scream at you. They can text you.
Speaking of that, though, I want to say something really quick, because Coach, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that watch this because a lot of people love football and they want to see the predictions. I do want to address something real quick. Now, we're going to address this off the show as well, but there's been a lot of questions about my announcement of moving, a lot of questions about the locker room, a lot of questions about East Alabama. Now, the locker room is not ending. I know some people, you just went, oh no. Yeah, that's right. We're not ending. This thing is not going away. Matter of fact, Coach, I love what Nick Saban said. This is not the end. It's just the beginning. Some of these people, Coach, unfortunately, we live in a society where everything's a competition. It's not to me. I do this because this is the calling God has on my life, is to use this platform as a ministry. So I've never viewed this as a competition. Some people, for some reason, do. But what I want to do is continue, whether I'm in Alabama or somewhere else, my goal is to continue to spotlight coaches and athletes, not just in the state of Alabama, but nationwide. That's what God's called me to do. So a lot of people think that the locker room is going to end. It's not. Now, what it's going to look like, you'll have to wait and see. But just know the locker room's not going anywhere. And East Alabama now is not going anywhere. We are truly just getting started. All right, back to what we were talking about.
It's come a long way since you were sitting on the side of that bed when you were 16 years old and interviewing me.
Yeah, but I just, it's unfortunate, man, that we live in a society, Coach, where people want to see other people's downfall. That's not what Scripture calls us to do. And it just frustrates me that I've honestly, I've been really thankful for the people that have supported me, but there's also been people that have supported me for the wrong reasons. And a lot of people are excited that the locker room's ending. No, it's not. The locker room is going to continue, and it's going to be just fine. All right, Coach, speaking, though, of Piedmont, I want to talk about Piedmont and Jonathan Miller because, again, I have been critical at times. But I think Piedmont's that team this year, too, that a lot of people are probably going, you know, all these rumors during the summer. Jonathan Miller's just been working. And I really think this is a team that when it gets said and done, you're looking at Thanksgiving week, I think that's a team that could still be playing football.
Very well could, because Piedmont still has that winning tradition. That has not left. That didn't leave, because, you know, Jonathan has that winning tradition himself or wherever he's been. I mean, he played in a high school that's what it was all about. It's just taken a year of them transitioning over to the way he does things. Steve Smith did it a great way. He took it to Westbrook Christian. It's taken him a year to be able to transition. It's going to take Jonathan a year to transition over to the way he likes to do things. And it takes kids time to do that. It takes the community time to get used to a new coach and new players. What they need to keep focusing on is that the 7th and 8th grade class that Coach Smith had at Piedmont when he left, they all didn't leave. They're one of the classes that he thought may be one of the best classes they've ever had.
Yep.
So now there are going to be 9th graders and 8th graders, and you got those other kids that are going to be there. So I think Piedmont's set up for success for the next 5-6 years.
I agree. I really think that Jonathan Miller is like just there's buy-in, but I still think there's some people not buying in that need to buy in, because if you look at the track record of Jonathan Miller, it's there. Steve Smith this year. I said year 3 is typically that year. Oh, I promise you, next year, year 3, Westbrook Christian's going to be knocking on the Super 7. But I think this year, Coach, I'm going to say it right now, Westbrook Christian is not only going to make the playoffs, Coach, I think Westbrook Christian is going to host a playoff game at some point, whether that's the first round or second round. Coach, I would even go as far to say with the athletes they got, and I've seen them from baseball, Thanksgiving rolls around, I wouldn't be surprised if this season Steve Smith's playing that time of the year.
I'm going to make this statement. If Coach Smith gets it to the 3rd round, then he needs to be Coach of the Year. Now, some people would say, well, that's just he's always been that way. No, this is a different animal that he took over. It's completely different. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different attitude. Not saying it's bad. It's just a different attitude than what he's had to deal with for the past several years. If he gets his team into the third round of the playoffs, he's got my vote and everybody I can call's vote that he would be the Coach of the Year.
All right, last thing before we look at this Super 7, we got to kind of speed up the rate right here. Coach, Welborn, Weaver, Locust Fork. I'm not asking you to pick which one you think is going to make the playoffs, but it's clearly those three are fighting, in my opinion, for that fourth spot. When you look at those, what gives Locust Fork the edge? What gives Weaver the edge? What gives Welborn the edge?
Welborn would have an edge, even if there has been transfers or not, because of the mental toughness that their coach is going to instill into them, that you got to have to get into that fourth place spot. Weaver's got possibly one of the better athletes in Calhoun County.
Two, Keyshawn Allen and Caden.
Two of them.
But they need that moment that says, we can do this.
Yeah, they've got to win that game somewhere down the line, whether it's just one of those games in the trenches that's going to define their team. Because Coach Kofor, even though he likes to spin the ball and throw it around, he still loves to line up and run the football at people. And they're going to have to face somebody that's good at stopping the run and be able to run it and impose their will on them. If they can do that, then they'll be that team that can
And
do
I
that.
didn't have them or Welborn there, but I'm telling you, nobody wants to see Welborn there more than me.
No.
But I can also tell you from getting to talk to Coach Kofor, I really think Weaver is not a team this year to just look at and go, Weaver. No, Weaver is a team to be took serious. Coach, I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if Weaver is in the playoffs this season with Caden Gooden and Keyshawn Allen.
I actually think, and everybody always says this, but I really mean it, you could take all of those teams
Six of
and
them,
put them in
I
a bag, shake it up, throw them out, and you'll have 4 good quality teams.
Let me ask you, do I think Westbrook Christian can win this region? Yes. Do I think Piedmont can win this region? Yes. Do I think Ohatchee can win this region? Yes. Do I think Welborn can win this region? You know, I think they definitely could host a home playoff game.
I think they can actually come in there and win it.
Okay. Weaver, I don't think Weaver can win it, but I think Weaver can make the playoffs. And Locust Fork, could Locust Fork win it?
I think Weaver
Maybe.
could host a ball game, host a first
So you
round
think
playoff
they could
game.
get to second?
Because of their skilled players and coach knowing how to get them there, and he's also added to his staff. The offensive coordinator from Anniston last year is now with him there.
He's got a great staff. Mm-hmm. He has got a great staff. All right, my Super 7 prediction for 3A, Coach. Let's take a look at it. Coach, Coach, you see that T? That T's Thomasville, baby.
That's not Taylor Miller. That's Thomasville.
Thomasville. Coach is
the team with nobody returning All-State players.
No All-State players, but it's year 3 under Clint Anderson. I've seen their baseball team, and I'm buying into the juice they gave me. I'm not going to say his name, but let me just say somebody from Thomasville told me this fall, just know, this is the year. So I'm buying it. I'm drinking the juice. I hope I don't get poisoned.
You didn't drop the mic on that. You dropped your pen.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to say, Five? What?
Yeah,
Five's been in 3A before and been there and done that.
Yeah.
So this is not a big change for them.
If Logan Anderson stays healthy, I don't think they'll get beat.
Woo.
All right, 4A, very quickly.
They do play Pisgah early in a non-region game.
That'd be a good one. All right, 4A. Coach Jackson, where's my Aggies fans at? Comment in the comment bar right now, Jackson Aggies fans. Let us know you're watching from South Alabama.
There's a bunch
I know
of you
there's
there.
50,000 of you down there. We need you on here right now. All right, Mobile Christian at number 2. Pleasant Grove, Coach, is dropping from 5A to 4A.
Been in how many state championship games?
A lot of them. Coach Darryl
them.
LeBeau. Anybody know where Darryl LeBeau's from?
He used to coach at Mumford, I'll tell you that.
You know where he's from now?
Can't remember.
I can't either, but I just remember he coached at Mumford. All right, Mobile Christian going up from 3A to 4A. Pleasant Grove's going from 5A to 4A. Madison Academy joining Mobile Christian from 3A to 4A. Cherokee County at 5. Hanley 6, St. James 7, Westminster Christian 8, Anniston 9, 10, West Morgan. Coach, I had a really tough time with 4A, but I think it's Jackson's classification. And I really think the South is loaded. As you can tell, Coach, I only have 4 teams from the North, 6 teams from the South.
And that's pretty much the way it's
5.
been.
Madison Academy.
Pretty much
It's
the
5
way
and 5. It's 5 and 5.
That's the way it's been several years now, probably more. I'm gonna give you mine.
All right.
That I have, and we'll see how close we are.
Okay. Let's put ours back up real quick. So
Yeah, you put yours up and I'll go
All
mine.
right, Coach, who's
And
your one?
My 1 is Jackson.
Okay, we're a group. Same thing.
Okay, my number 2 is Pleasant Grove.
Okay.
And I'm just doing that because they've moved down and they've been real good in 5A.
Absolutely.
I've got number 3, West Morgan, where you got them at 10.
Ooh.
But here's why you would probably take them out, because they had like 20 seniors last year.
Okay.
But they were there, and they were in Cherokee County was down to the wire. So that's why I went with them. Mobile Christian, You got them at 2. Okay. Cherokee County 5, Bibb County 6, Anniston 7, Hanley 8, Brooks 9, and St. Michael's.
All right,
Who's the coach of St. Michael's?
You have a legend, Coach Phillip Rivers.
And from my friends down there, from like Gerhardt, Muth, and Gunny,
Yeah, my boy Keith, my boy Keith.
they are thinking that this could be the year that they really make a difference with the transfers.
Well, I
and
remember the
everything.
biggest thing that Coach Rivers was complaining about was having to cut the grass. So if he got that down pat,
And I'm sure the next thing will be turf, and they don't have to cut grass. He probably, with the amount of money he has, he could hire somebody to come in and do that. That's going to be interesting this year. And Anniston, I think, is set with the new stadium, the new turf, because people think it's just turf. No, it's an excitement building over there on that side of that hill over there. That the whole stadium, everything. So there's an excitement. They've had some transfers in, and they probably had some. They lose and gain every year.
And the reason I have them at 9 is, Coach, is just because there's some unknowns at some positions.
That's right.
That they've had experience. I think Rico Jackson's good. I think they're going to be good. I definitely think they're a quarterfinal team at least. Could punch in, the semis. I think they're that good. But there's also some things mentally that I still need to see. Like at 7-on-7, they lost 2 games, and both those games were Talladega. Now I know it's only 7-on-7. 7-on-7 don't matter, but to lose to Talladega twice, those only 2 games Talladega won in 7-on-7. But if you're Coach Jackson, that's something you can use. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, hey, we should have lost to Talladega. But also, if you're Coach Dorsey and you're trying to change the culture at Talladega in Class 5A, you can say, guys, we just beat Anniston twice, skill to skill. So you can't tell me we ain't got the skill players. So speaking of 5A, though, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Quickly, 4A Super 7 prediction, Coach. I'm going with Jackson and Madison Academy. I'm taking the Mustangs. They were state runner-up in 3A last year. I'm taking them out of the North in 4A this year. I'm going the Jackson Aggies out of the South. All right, you like that or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good choice. It's a very good choice. Both of them, Madison Academy's been there and done that.
Yeah.
They've won more in 3A than they have anywhere else. But, yeah, they've got a great opportunity. But Cherokee County, from what I'm hearing out of the woodwork, is that they're going to be just as good. And think of Corneo, the players they've lost. I wouldn't be surprised to see that big old defensive tackle, defensive end. What's his name?
Diamond.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him at some tailback and watching them run some power offense, because they got a quarterback now. They can throw it around and run it too, and it'd be healthy.
I do think Tittle is one of the better quarterbacks in 4A.
He's going to be the surprise of 4A football at quarterback.
I believe it 100%. I love Coach Tittle, and again, I don't know. Madison Academy coming up from 3A to 4A. Coach, I'll be completely honest with you. Private, public.
I got you.
That's why.
But we'll get to see Cherokee County maybe in a little bit.
They're going to have a tougher path this year.
Tougher path. Yes. Tougher path.
Tough path this year. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have 5A, 6A, and 7A. Coach, I got more surprises. We're not done. We'll be right back on The Locker Room.
We live in a world that moves quickly. And while we are able to connect faster than ever through technology, maybe you've noticed that real connection is hard to come by. Parker Memorial Baptist Church offers you a place to connect, a place to learn more about Jesus and the difference He can make in your life, a place to build relationships with like-minded believers, or maybe discover what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ, a place to use the gifts and talents God has given you, a place where we love God and we love you. Parker Memorial Baptist Church, 1205 Quintard Avenue, Anniston. Visit our website for details.
We continue on The Locker Room on this Wednesday afternoon as we continue to break down my preseason rankings and Super 7 predictions. All right, Coach, let's go into Class 5A. Let's take a look at my Class 5A rankings for this season. And here we are, Coach. All right, Coach, I got Ramsey at number 1. I'm going UMS Wright at 2. Montgomery Catholic coming up from 4A to 5A. They're in at number 3. Got Danny Horn and the Vols at number 4. Vigors 5, Moody 6 under Coach Gaines. Eufaula made the semifinals last year. They're at 7. Faith Academy 8, Gunnersville 9, and Charles Henderson is number 10. Thoughts?
I would probably swap Viger and Ramsey. The only key thing about Viger is trying to figure out, they just added a new quarterback. He transferred in. As soon as he transferred in, big-time transfer, a Southeastern Conference type maybe quarterback, and the coach gets let go. So now they're going to have to. Can they transition into a new football coach a month before the season starts? As far
Can
as
they keep him if the coach just got let go?
Well, it was one of those deals where a lot of guys that are out on the camping circuit have got together and said, "Hey, let's have a super team. Let's put it all together." And that's what they're going to do. They're in Mobile and they're going to play, and whether they can overcome losing their football coach there that late, we'll see. I mean, you miss right, Terry Curtis. I mean, he's always going to have them there close to it. Everybody else I'm good with. Central Clay, I think they're right where they want to be, because Coach Horn wants, no limelight. He wants absolutely no rat poison at all.
Coach, I'm giving you rat poison.
He's already saying we're maybe not as good as we've ever been. We're one of the worst teams we've ever had. That's what he'll be.
That for a second.
Here's
two of the best running backs in 5A probably.
Yeah, and if he'd have stayed healthy last year, they may have had a chance to get there.
I think they could have.
Very well could have. Moody's going to be Moody. They're a very well coached football team with a bunch of transfers.
Look at that a bunch of transfers,
yeah,
for sure.
But they're playing a very hard schedule. Again, they're playing one of the tougher schedules
Auburn,
in 5A.
Oxford, Gainesville, Georgia.
Just trying to make them better. And people want to know about Gainesville. That's where Coach Josh Niblett's at. Yes. You follow it, has always been there. I've got two schools that I don't think you have on yours that I would put close. We'll put them at 11 and 12, and that's Boaz and Briarwood Christian.
Okay.
Boaz got a good football team and a good coaching staff.
I drove by Briarwood Christian the other day for the first time. It's a nice place.
Oh, yes.
Nice school.
They spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I drove
Very
by.
nice
I was
place.
coming back from Oak Mountain State Park.
Remember the Castiles? They all played there.
Okay.
They've had a lot of players there.
So you said Danny Horn doesn't want rat poison.
No.
All right, Coach Horn or anybody from Central Clay or any family, put a blindfold on real quick. Let's take a look at my 5A Super 7 prediction. Coach, Ramsey versus
them Central
Clay Vols. I'm telling you what, I'm going with it, man. I'm going with Danny Horn in the Vols against
And people will ask, where is it? Is that from Ashland? No, halfway between Ashland and Limeville. That's the way you say it.
I can tell you where it's at, in the middle of nowhere. All right, when we went out there, I lost service pretty quickly. All right, let's move to Class 6A, Coach, and take a look at Class 6A. I'm going to surprise some people right here. All right, number 1 is A.H. Parker. 2 is Saraland. KJ Lacey's back at quarterback. I don't think that, even though Ryan Williams is gone, Mr. Hollywood's gone. Oxford is 3. This is the year that Sam Adams and the Yellow Jackets finally do what people have been saying this team could do when they got to this point. I got them at 3. I got Clay Chalva right behind them at 4. Gulf Shores, whoa, name it. They won a state championship last year. What are you doing? I think 5A to 6A, I think that is a jump. I think they're going to be good. But again, and Coach, them being in the South, they're just looking at Saraland and Pike Road. You know what I'm saying? They're not looking at Clay Chalville, Oxford, or Parker. But again, I still think those other teams, Pike Road 6, Spain Park, Coach, dropping from 7A to 6A, that's always good for any 7A team. Mountain Brook's there at 8. Gadsden City is 9, and Hartsville's 10. I was actually going to go a different route with 9 and 10, but you kind of convinced me differently before we got here. So, Coach, looking at this, what do you agree with? Anything that you're going, maybe too much stock on them?
I agree with everything. I want to add 11, a number 11 that could have been put anywhere in those last 3 is St. Paul's.
Okay.
We could add them in there. Again, this is going to be Oxford's year. The question mark will always be, because they do a phenomenal job of coaching. Are they going to, and I don't know the answer to this question until I see them play, are they going to be big enough up front on the offensive side to be able to handle some of the schools that they've got to be able to handle to get there? But I think they have an excellent chance to be standing in December.
Absolutely. All right, my 6A state championship prediction is Saraland and Parker, Coach. KJ Lacey back at quarterback. Parker's got a guy, obviously, Alabama's trying to flip him, Auburn's trying to flip him, Ohio State's where he's tentatively headed right now, defensive back. But, Coach, I think both these teams are as talented as you're going to find in 6A.
And I would love to be able to watch the 6A playoffs that Saraland's got to go through to get there. And that may be what it takes. That may be what it takes to win it, to be able to go through a gauntlet like that and be left standing there at the end.
All right, we don't have any 7A teams in our area, but we're going to take a look at 7A very quickly, Coach. I do have some surprises in 7A. Ooh. First one's Hoover at 5. They went, what did you say last year, 5 and...
They were 4 and 7.
4 and 7, and I got them at 5. I believe Coach Glover coming over from Clay Chalville, I think immediate success. But I think Central Phoenix City, Coach, they're ranked top 22 in the country nationwide. Thompson's at 2 with Trent Seaborn. Hewitt Trussville, I think, is going to be really good this year. Got Keith Etheridge and Auburn at 4. I'm going Hoover at 5. Again, Coach Glover going over from Clay Chalkville, fresh off winning a state championship game. Mary G. Montgomery at 6. Coach Vestavia Hills at 7. I don't even think you've got them in yours. I think you're going to go a different route with the 4 out of that area. 8's Enterprise. You know who's at Enterprise?
I know who the coaches are.
Who is it?
Ben Blackman.
Yeah, and he is a winning coach.
And Tony Stonkers is defense coordinator for the past 20 years.
Yeah, so keep an eye on Enterprise. 9's Bob Jones, and 10 is Dothan. Any changes here? I know you like somebody different outside of Vestavia. Who you like?
Well, where's Hillcrest?
That's what you're asking. They're going from 6A to 7A, and I'm going with Vestavia over Hillcrest.
Okay.
But again, similar to the 3A region. Similar to the 3A region. You could go to Hillcrest. Oak Mountain's not bad. You know, I mean, there's another team, Prattville.
One other one. You mentioned Prattville, very good one. But a sleeper will be Carver Montgomery. That's going to be the sleeper just because of the number of transfers that have moved in there.
Right,
that would be the only way. That'd be something to look at.
Coach, it is 2:18, and the word is Carver just got another transfer. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at my Super 7 pick for 7A.
Oh, the suspense. And for the 15th year in a row?
And since every year since I was born, Thompson and Central Phoenix City, Coach. And no surprise there, right?
No. Facilities, coaching staff, and players. Both of them got both.
All right.
Great coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, Hall of Fame players. I mean, they've got it all, and that's going to be another, just to see them both get there. Because don't forget Hoover. They're itching to get back. Because it's been a while. 16 since they won a state championship.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Coach Glover coming over to Clay Chalkville. All right, Coach, thank you so much for joining me today, man. I really do appreciate it. And that's going to do it for us today on The Locker Room. Hope you all have a great evening. Hope you'll join us on East Alabama Now News tonight at 6:30 p.m. I'm Namath Pitts, Coach Michael Shortt, and we'll see you next time on The Locker Room.